This video summarizes some of the changes to the RE23, which is our commercial or investment purchase sale agreement. As we indicated at the beginning of the video in the RE21, many of the changes that were made in the RE21 were carried forward to the other purchase and sale agreements. However, there were a couple of changes specific to the RE23 that the committee felt deserved their individual highlighting. If I don't address something that goes by on the screen in red or highlighted, it's because it's already been addressed at the very beginning. You'll note this type of thing I'm not going to touch on because we touched on it in the RE23. I'm sorry, the RE21 video. So getting to starting with section 10. This was discussed in the previous video, the as-is condition of the personal property or fixtures and fittings. However, there was some language that was added into this particular purchase and sale agreement that was actually lived in other purchase and sale agreements, and the committee felt it was appropriate time to bring it forward into this purchase and sale agreement. It deals with the any comments, oral comments, or prior written communications, publications, including but not limited to MLS listings and advertisements. They will all be subordinate to this, what is said in the contract. So in other words, it's sort of a part of the merger clause. It's bringing forward anything that's been said or anything that has been promised should be brought into this contract and memorialized herein. Otherwise, it's not to be relied upon and cannot be legally enforced. So that was a change that was, it actually lives in the other purchase and sales. It was just brought forward this year. You'll see the big change here in the section 11 to B. This was not actually struck from the contract. It was simply moved and reformatted because it's dealing with some of the closing costs, and the committee spent some time with section 21 on this particular contract this year, and so they felt that it was more appropriate to try to address all or most all of the costs in section 21, which we'll review in a little bit. CC&Rs were covered in previous videos. Boundary verification, this used to be its own section. In fact, the boundary verification lived here. But in the continual effort to streamline and simplify these contracts, the committee spent some time that brought the language forward out of its own specific subsection or section into this section. They were simply merged. Nothing was changed. It just simply, the boundary verifications and square footage must all be verified by the buyer during the inspection period if it's important to the buyer. Again, here's your CC&Rs, so we covered that in the previous video. I think this brings us to section 21, as referenced just a few moments ago. This deals with closing costs and prorations. The committee, that is, brought a lot of the language that existed in other places and brought it into this particular paragraph because it's relating to costs or prorations. Some of the prorations existed in the previous paragraph. Some of them existed in this sentence. They were all relocated down to the end of this paragraph so that they're all in one place. The 50-50 split of the escrow fees was brought down in here. And then, as you can see already, some of the grid changes to the grid were added in here. We talked about septic and domestic being added this year. So this section had some changes go along with it, but for the most part, it was just moving some things around. But if you do use the commercial or investment real estate purchase sale agreement, it's recommended that you spend some time refamiliarizing yourself with this particular section to make sure you understand how it's used and how to best advise your clients. That is the end of the highlight for the 23. As we said, we don't touch on all the changes, but this video we wanted to highlight some specific changes to the RE23.